Welcome back to Nobody's Madness. I'm your host, Nobody, and last episode we talked about breathing. This episode we're going to talk about energy awareness. Before we can get into any psi work involving manipulating yourself or your environment, your energy, we need to start focusing on energy awareness. So we've covered picking an environment, picking clothing, breathing appropriately, and now energy. So this is an exercise that was introduced to me by somebody who was getting into acupuncture. It's not somebody I knew personally. It was an internet friend, somebody I used to discuss energetics and ritual work and religious ideas and various other things. So it was part of a pagan Wiccan chat group, and this individual got into acupuncture, and during his studies he came across this very simple exercise. I'd like to give him more credit, but I've since forgotten the name, and so we'll just go with it was somebody else's idea and not mine that I was introduced to, and I experimented with it both by myself and when I was running a spiritual studies group to study spiritual ritual and energy. It was something that everybody in the group seemed capable of doing, and we later extended it so that we could try to feel what other people's energy feels like. So it's really simple. Hopefully you've gotten into your place and you're wearing the clothing that you want to wear for psi work, and you've been practicing some breathing, gotten used to breathing a little bit deeper. So all it really is focusing on the tip of your finger. And while you're focusing on the tip of your finger, you're just going to let your attention go to it, and you're going to breathe deeply. And as you breathe, you're going to try to let your entire being go to your fingertip. So you're going to inhale and exhale. Some minor technical difficulties there. So we left off, you're trying to focus your energy to your fingertip, and you're trying to recognize the sensation of that increased focus. And it could feel like just about anything. And the experiment that I had done with the spiritual studies group shows that. So you're just trying to feel and become aware and then describe the sensation. It's difficult work. The psi work is difficult because at first we have no idea what we're trying to do. You know, you can read books, you can, listen to videos like this one, but if you don't know what the energy feels like, it's going to be very difficult to move it. So here we're trying to use focus and imagination, which is the flow of energy to that point, the flow of our awareness, our being to that point, in order to produce a result that we weren't expecting. Now, my energy feels kind of warm and tingly. It's usually pleasurable and expansive, and it just kind of goes in and expands. So that's how my energy feels. And at first I thought this was how I perceived all energy, that it was that sensation, and that's just how I interpreted energy. So any energy I felt would feel like that, just in varying intensities. So in the course of that spiritual study group, everybody started to work and develop that sensation, and everybody was able to produce it and say, oh, okay, yes, I feel something, there's something there. So then we took it a step further, and we started trying to move our energy into other people. So one would be the projector and one the receiver. And I was very surprised to find out that that is my specific energy that I was feeling, because everyone else's energy felt different. Some were similar, some were very, very different. One, I could only describe it as being soft. And it was interesting because in order to kind of do like a blind study, we would have a middle person, and two people would feel the energy of a fourth. And then those two people would tell the middle person what it was like, and then they would confirm that yes, the report was the same. The two people testing, feeling the energy of a third person or fourth person was the same. They had the same sensation. So it wasn't just that like, oh, it feels soft. Oh, let me try. Oh yeah, it does. No, it was, I felt it, it felt soft, and then another person felt it and it felt soft, and then we confirmed it through a middle person. So there wasn't a lot of bias going on. We had people whose energy felt like a laser beam. We had people whose energy felt like a constricting snake. Mine was described as being expansive air. So I realized from that practice that the first step is recognizing our own energy, and from there we can recognize the energy of other people. Once we recognize this energy, then we can work on strengthening it, we can work on moving it. So let's say you feel it at the tip of your finger, you can then move it up your arm and into your chakras, you know, or you can use it to focus and realize where your chakras are. One of the things that you'll do later if you choose, or one of the things to do with chakras, is move that energy around until you find a spot that reacts to it more substantially. And that's one of the ways in which you can discover where your chakras are specifically in your body. This brings me to one of the things of current science that when researching these phenomena, I find flaw in their methodology. So they gather a bunch of people and would have them do that same exercise of pushing energy without teaching people to recognize what that energy feels like. So it's extremely blind. So people don't even know. They may be feeling it, but because it's not part of their normal repertoire of things to pay attention to, it goes completely ignored. So the first step is to make awareness. So essentially, when they're grabbing a bunch of people that have never done or are unaware of psi practices, and get them together to test these theories, it's like getting a bunch of feeble people to test the theory of hitting a home run. You know, people that are weak or sick, you know, you get them together and be like, oh, let's prove that home runs aren't possible. And so you have them trying to hit home runs, but they're physically incapable of producing the strength required. But that study, because it's isolated and doesn't have people trained to hit home runs, is a skewed study. Now, I was just thinking that it's difficult to find people that are aware, that are, you know, similar to me, that have actually been practicing and working on it. I once conjectured that there's about 1 in 1,000 that have an intrinsic awareness, that has, you know, that still have an awareness moving towards adulthood, and about 1 in 10,000 isn't afraid of that ability. I've met a number of people who are skilled that are terrified of their ability. So that leaves about 35,000 people nationwide out of 350 million people. That's a relatively small number spread out. So of course these studies are going to be difficult to do, but if you work on training people to become more aware of the psi energy, then the studies become less skewed. But that's generally not what happens. And I was astounded that each person has a very specific energy signature. This opened up a lot of doors of understanding for me, because up until that point I had mostly just been working with my own energy. To some extent other people's, but those other people weren't really as aware of it as this group was becoming. So this work is kind of an extension of that group to get that information out there, to get those techniques out there, because what this experiment allows you to do is become aware of your own energy. And if you can help somebody or work with somebody who wants to become aware of their own energy as well, then you can test this directly. This is something that you can do to directly test your energy perceptions and your perception of other people's energy and your own. This work lays the groundwork of all other psi, just becoming aware of that sensation, because then you can use it for charging talismans, you can use it for doing relaxation rituals, you can use it for opening your chakras and working with your chakra energy, you can use it for healing, you can use it to direct and control and create protective circles. So learning how to move this energy and increase this energy is of paramount importance, and the steps leading up to this, the place of practice, the clothes that you wear, the breathing exercises, all help with this. The area that you choose will become charged with your energy, so it will be less distracted by other energies. You'll be less confused by other sensations because it will be just your energy. The clothing will help get you into the right state of mind for becoming open and sensing these energies. And the breathing exercises have a multitude of effects, both bringing a focus, direction, and enhancing chemicals within your own body that will help bring about awareness of these energies. So work on that for a little while. Try increasing your awareness, try increasing the intensity. You can create spheres of energy within your hands where you can feel it or exchange it between your two hands. I've worked on watching the energy between my two fingers. Sometimes it's very physically visual to me, and just play around with it, have fun, get used to moving and working with it. And this is the foundation of a lot of the other work that you will do. So to answer my friend's question of, once you feel that, what do you do with it? The question almost becomes, what can't you do with it? But we'll get into more specific steps with that, but at least you have an experiment that you can do on your own, and also with another person. And that's where I'm going with this. Next, we're going to work on methods of increasing that awareness, which is the vibratory formula. If you've seen the middle pillar ritual episode that I did, that's an example of it. And all of that is building to work like that. So I'll get into the vibratory formula and some vibrational exercises and theories in the next episode. So thanks for watching. Until next time.